I'll be fine.
Are we playing Cards Against Humanity?
We're not playing any games at all. We're doing a serious interview.
Okay.
Kia ora koutou. Let's have a huge round of applause for the one, the only, Chris Bishop! Okay, Chris, my first question for you is, which card would you like?
Do you want me to pick?
Yes.
Okay.
It is a caterpillar! Okay, and as we all know, the caterpillar in this drinking exercise is a ship came into the harbour! Yay! Okay, so you say a ship came into the harbour carrying, and then like a category of things, like shoe
Like
brands.
caterpillar or?
Well, I don't know many species of caterpillar. Like a broader category maybe, like
Okay.
hairstyles or cheese.
Okay. A ship came into the harbour carrying a carton of cheese.
Cheese, okay. Gruyere.
Brie.
Camembert.
Gouda.
Well, you did it. Okay. Oh, it's yucky. It's yucky, but you have to do it too. You have to do it too.
Oh,
We
okay.
take turns.
Rightio.
We take turns. Oh, wait,
Okay.
I mean, you didn't lose that one, but that's fine. Okay. A ship came into the harbour carrying.
This is political.
Yes, it's all climate change related. It's all totally. A ship came into the harbour carrying a shipload of substantive climate change policies passed by the last national government. He has to go first, though, eh?
The Agricultural Greenhouse Gas Research Centre.
Does that count?
I think it counts.
Okay, we'll count that. Okay, my go.
I see the point you're making. It's clever. It's clever.
I said substantive. That's
Yeah,
on me.
okay.
That's my fault.
What about I could give you one.
No, that's cheating. That's cheating.
Okay.
Yucky, eh? Okay, my turn. Ladybug! Okay, and as we all know, Ladybug is never have I ever. Okay. It's political. Never have I ever had a job I regret. Okay, now you think of one. Never have I ever.
Never have I ever done a sellout comedy show about climate change.
We added an extra show.
Oh.
Now, for this to work, make sure nobody buys tickets to that extra show. Okay, but the point is we're having fun. It's a fun game. We're having a fun game.
I'm sorry to barge in. I never usually do this, but this is a lot like a game and not a lot like an interview.
Okay, well,
So I'm just going to clear that. Here's the questions that our sponsor signed off on.
Russel Norman really hates me, eh? Oh, this
what
is
if
not
they're
gonna be fun.
sad? What if they're sad questions?
Doesn't mean I'm going to do them anyway. Greenpeace loves that. Sorry. Could be anyway.
Right now, would you vote for the zero carbon bill as it stands? Why or why not?
Yes.
You have said. Oh, wait. Do you want to say why?
Did James Shaw say yes when he did it on Monday?
Well, he hadn't actually put it out yet.
Oh, true, yes, sorry. Yeah.
Kind of ruined our whole thing. You have said whether or not New Zealand becomes carbon neutral by 2050, that will not stop hurricanes and sea level rise in New Zealand. And obviously, it will require a global movement. How will the National Party convince other nations to take the radical action needed to save millions of lives?
So what I said is completely true, right? So New Zealand's 0.17%, okay? So whether or not we go carbon neutral by 2050 or 2100 won't stop hurricanes and, catastrophic climate change in the world. But we've got to do our bit, and actually, it's the old cliche, we punch above our weight on the world stage. And I think we can be in the vanguard of countries that do take climate change seriously. And ultimately, if New Zealand plays our part and does our bit.
That's good. In the Young Voters debate hosted by One News in 2017, you said regarding New Zealand becoming a carbon neutral country, it certainly won't happen by 2050, it might happen by 2100. If National gets back into power and drags its heels on reducing emissions, what message do you think that sends to other nations?
Well, look, I don't think we can be carbon neutral by 2050. I just don't think it will happen. I don't think it's possible. But what we can do is get our emissions down and meet our Paris obligations. There's lots of things we can do. The zero carbon bill is a good start. It's a good start.
Preparing for climate change will be expensive. Leaving aside storms, droughts, famine, war, floods and disease, estimates put 5 airports, more than 2,000 kilometres of road, 46 kilometres of rail and 45,000 residential buildings at risk from rising sea levels alone. How much should we be investing right now to prepare for the effects of climate change?
Well, it's the biggest issue facing your generation and my generation, so a lot. I live in Batoni, I live 150 metres from the beach. I frankly don't think councils in New Zealand are taking
How much should we be investing? If he doesn't answer, does that...
I don't know.
Can I move on?
A metric shitload. I mean, like a lot, right?
Should we fund that investment by increasing the national debt, increasing taxes, or cutting other government services?
Well, there's never been a cheaper time to borrow money on the world markets.
Increase the national debt.
Well, if you're going to have an approach where you build the infrastructure for the future, money's got to come from somewhere. Governments have the ability to fund long-term infrastructure by borrowing for intergenerational assets that help everyone. So, yeah, sure.
Thank you. In 2009, National passed legislation excluding agricultural emissions from the emissions trading scheme until 2015, despite warnings from the Institute of Policy Studies that the decision would reduce long-term competitiveness of the New Zealand economy by supporting an industry that won't be able to compete in an emissions-constrained world. Can you explain why that was a decision made for the long-term economic benefit of all New Zealanders, and not just for the short-term benefit of the National Party's rural voter base?
Okay, so first thing is I don't think it's true that agriculture can't compete in an emissions-constrained industry. New Zealand farmers are the most efficient on the world stage, most efficient in the world at producing, and it is true. I think it is inevitable in the long term that agriculture will enter the emissions trading scheme.
You're doing great.
But this is really important. Methane is not the same as CO2, right? Methane is a short-term gas, and that's what the zero carbon will recognise.
But it has a worse effect, doesn't it, in that short term?
It does, but it's short-term, and actually a lot of the scientific evidence is that CO2 is the thing we really need to worry about.
So don't worry about the farms.
No, we should worry about the farms, but we should also be conscious that no other country is putting agriculture as part of their emissions trading. No, very few other countries have an emissions trading scheme, by the way.
Do you think the creation of Fonterra by the Labour Party has warped the pricing signals that would otherwise be convincing farmers to transition away from their high emission businesses? And if so, should Fonterra be broken up?
That's a good question. I don't think Fonterra should be broken up. I think it's generally pretty successful, but I think there's an open question around there's an open question around agriculture's future pricing in the part of the ETS. We're going through that debate as it stands at the moment.
Chris, I'm quite scared of the water wars and people abandoning refugees and insects dying and then there isn't food and could you just tell me that the experts are wrong and everything's going to be fine?
Well, that's all the time we have.
Okay, wait.